everybody. I have a great guest today. It's the end of Cancer Awareness and Cancer Survivor Month. And I have a great survivor right here. You're going to love her story. Her name is Jill I. Is that correct?
Ayn.
It's
Ayn. A-Y-N.
Ayn Schneider. And I'm going to let her tell her story today because she is 100% a cancer survivor, has cured herself, and I think you guys are all going to love her story. So, Jill, why don't you take it away?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm so happy to be on your show. And it's a wonderful time in general for me to be telling my story. I've waited, 47 years after healing myself of cancer. I'm now getting the opportunity to tell my story. So in 1975, at the age of 29, I was diagnosed with malignant cervical cancer. Had no idea, just went for a checkup, and it just happened. Okay, a little coincidence that I just happened to be studying a class in Oriental Medicine. And it was very interesting to me because they basically said that all disease is just an imbalance. Yep. So when I got this diagnosis and the doctor's telling me you have to be in the hospital by next week and we have other tests to do before I actually take you into surgery. Oh my God. I had, there's a Yiddish word and the word is chutzpah. Chutzpah means cojones, balls.
Yeah.
And I looked up at this doctor. He was tall. He was a Cuban American man. And this was in South Miami. And I said, this is what came over me. You know, things when you're in the flow, things come over you and you have to say what you say. And I just looked at him and I had already understood what disease actually is, dis-ease. And he looked at me and told me this. And I looked at him and I said, I'm going to take care of this myself, doc.
Did they think you were crazy?
He slammed the big, heavy office door in my face because I was just getting up from my chair and he walked out. He said, if you're not going to do what I tell you to do, it's over. I said, good. I'm going to take care of it myself. Thank you. So I basically, I ditched his entire medical career by saying such a thing. Oh God, you know, I'm like a pile of chutzpah because I just had to be myself in that moment more than any other time in my life.
I have a question for you. So did you tell him then? Had he already said to you have to be in the hospital, you're going to have radiation, chemo, surgery?
He didn't go through all of it. He went through the surgery.
Okay.
He said, you're probably going to need a hysterectomy.
He said.
Okay. And then anyway, I walked out of the office and everyone had heard him slamming the door in my face. So I was already a star, causing a little turmoil, which I like.
You caused a little chaos with a Cuban.
And really. And I mean, I basically just became a little invisible as I signed, and gave him the money, signed a check and whatever, and left. And that night I was scheduled to perform on a radio show in Miami. I'm a singer, songwriter, and a guitar player. And I knew the show must go on because I grew up. I was born in 1945. Okay. My middle name comes from Ayn Rand, very famous author and director of films and everything. Anyway, I walked out. I for my performance that night, my dear friend who backs me up on guitar, Bob, he picked me up. He said, "How was your day?" I was pretty interested. Found out that I have cancer. It was 2 conclusive pap tests. In those days, they didn't immediately do a biopsy, okay? They got you into the hospital, I guess, to check things out, whatever.
Mm.
Anyway, I was a little, shaken up. I just told this man that I was gonna do this myself. Oh my
Mhm.
god. And then, so I was in the green room getting ready to, perform on this radio show. And Bob said, "You're okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'll be okay." And I closed my eyes for about 5 minutes and I meditated. I had studied meditation in India in 73. This was 1975. So I was already tuned in to that place within myself where I could feel that peace and I could operate from that. Because I also am very vain. And I knew that if I had any fear, my voice was going to really sound like crap.
Mm.
And I do not allow that, not on my watch.
No.
So it turned out that it was a wonderful opportunity for me to sing a couple of songs, and Bob just beautifully did the lead behind my folky kind of music style in those
Mhm.
days. And and then I had an appointment that I had made with the man who was teaching the class on Oriental Medicine. And I said, "I'd like to, have a cup of coffee with you after the class and tell you what's going on." And his name was Ralph Allen Dale. He was not an acupuncturist at that time, 1975, but he went on to become a very famous acupuncturist. He had a problem with Meniere's disease, which has to do with hearing.
Mhm.
And his
Yep.
work and his life work was being a composer and a composition teacher at the university.
It's kind of
So
important.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
really. So
Yeah.
he went
Really.
to China because he couldn't get any doctors to help him in this country. And he stayed in China until they fixed it, which didn't take too long, acupuncture. Okay.
Mhm. Right.
So when I did eventually meet with him, I told him what was going on, and he said, "Well, you definitely, will need acupuncture. And there is somebody right here in Miami that I can refer you to. You will need to speak with the macrobiotic people, okay, Michio Kushi in Boston. He didn't have a formal institute at that time, but Dr. Dale had his phone number, so I called him
Mhm.
and got some advice on a dietary program. And the other thing that I knew that I needed to do was quit my job, which was a very stressful job.
Yeah.
And I had a month left on the lease of my little studio apartment. Uh, as far as the macrobiotics was, I went to also buy a book called Cancer by George Ashawa. And and Nishio Kushi was a student of George Ashawa.
Mhm.
And it came to be called macrobiotics, which means great life. And the
Yeah.
first 10 days after finding out that I had this cancer, and Dr. Dale recommended this as well, I did number 7 diet, which was straight brown rice,
Yeah. They
chewed
always said that. They always tell you to go on brown rice. Sorry. Thanks.
okay,
Yeah.
chewed 50 to 100 times with
Mhm.
every bite
Mhm.
in meditation,
Yeah.
and 10 days straight brown rice, nothing else.
Mhm.
Okay, with
Yeah.
chopsticks, because the chopsticks prevent you from guzzling,
Right.
which I tend to do on occasion because I have so much energy. So, long story short, took a month, went back to another gynecologist. I never went back to that guy who slammed the door in my face. That was as rude can be. And I didn't care. I have nothing to prove to him. I know what I know
Exactly.
and I feel what I know. So I went to my mother's gynecologist, And by the way, I never told my family. I had a couple of friends that I told. That was it. That way I didn't have to argue with anyone or
Yeah,
have anyone argue with me.
exactly.
Duh.
Exactly.
So then,
Exactly.
yeah. So
Because you had an invisible disease, right?
well, I mean, they saw it on the pap test. They saw that there
Now I'm
was
talking here, nobody could see it though. I mean, your friends
no,
and your
no, no, no.
family couldn't tell because it was inside
No.
of you,
And
so it's
and
an
I
invisible disease.
actually I had no symptoms.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I wasn't in any pain. I walked every day. I lived close to the Biscayne Bay, downtown Miami at the
Mhm.
time. 1975 was beautiful. It was
Yeah.
relatively safe. And I started reading books from the Unity Church, which was down the street.
Mhm.
And all those positive affirmations became a part of me as well. Plus, I had just 2 years before been in India where I studied with a man named Prem Rawat.
Yeah.
And so the meditation that I did was very powerful. And I would use my breath in that meditation and what I felt from inside myself and send it down into the womb,
Mhm.
okay, and into the cervical area, even using color therapy as well.
Mhm.
A
Yeah.
month later, I went back to that my mother's doctor, and he took a test. He wanted me to in the hospital too, whatever.
Mhm.
And I said nope, and I convinced him to just give me another pap test, and it had already come from a number 5 in those days.
Mhm.
5 was really bad.
So that would be like
And
a stage 4, right?
I'm not sure, but it was a
Okay.
5 and
Yeah.
it had come down to a 3 and number 1 was normal.
Mhm.
Today, if you have a 1 on a biopsy, you're still in trouble,
They're still gonna do like a scraping of your
according to
cervix and
them.
all that. Yeah.
Yeah. He recommended, like cryotherapy and stuff. I said,
Yeah.
"No,
That's exactly what I was
no, I'm
saying.
gonna
Yeah.
take care of this myself."
Mhm.
I do have a confidence. I mean, I can't help it. There's a knowing, there's a truth I carry with me in my heart, in my soul, and that truth guides me right to you, Jenny.
Exactly. And I
Okay?
was just going to say, because I'm going to cut you off for 1 second.
Go
So
ahead.
Daniel Hall, who was going to be on Friday, but he's not going to be on now. Everybody, we're moving him to August actually. But he actually just said he listened to your song, and he said you have an amazing voice. He listened to the one on YouTube. So
Oh,
I put it up.
great.
Yeah,
Great.
we're going to have to put that
Wonderful.
on the end
Thank
of your
you.
bio.
Thank you so much.
Down.
LinkedIn is really where I've made the most friends this year.
Me
And
too.
he saw my Bo Diddley. How cool is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm like, he saw that.
Okay. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
so the cancer was 75. A month later, it was already doing better. I really didn't want to heal myself in the United States of America, honestly, because I knew I'd have to work. I left my little Volkswagen in someone's backyard. I got on a plane with a friend and we flew to South America. We actually went to a program. My teacher was speaking in Caracas for
Mm-hmm.
a weekend. And then after that, I went with another friend to a jungle outside of Caracas, a couple of hours, and camped out with my brown rice.
And Mark is my caregiver. The reason I have a podcast, not podcast, which you're on right now, is because Mark is my caregiver, not caregiver. But he just said that eating brown
Wow.
rice with chopsticks, yikes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what, Mark?
It's
You're gonna be eating that tonight with shrimp.
good, good.
Mhm. Yeah,
S-
with
So
chopsticks.
then about I think I camped out for about a week and a half. And it's funny because the gal I was camping with, we were both warned that there was a jaguar in the area. And in the middle of the night, she wakes me up because she heard a sound, and we went running to this little shed, and we stayed in the shed until the morning and whatever. And we'll never forget that
Hilarious.
moment. Anyway, After that, I spent about 5.5 to 6 months traveling with my friend Mark, and he was very helpful in all the situations that we came across, the altitude issues. Uh, at that time in Peru, I got to actually be in Machu Picchu, and this was before any tourism had taken place.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it was so quiet. And then we stayed like in this flop house at the bottom of the mountain, and those were the workers that were chipping away, finding artifacts and things like that.
Mhm.
So,
Wow.
and then I also would go to the markets there to get vegetables. And I had
Mhm.
one little pot, a little enamel pot, and I'd stay in people's homes sometimes, and they would give me one burner on the stove for my
Mhm.
brown rice, and I would add some carrots and any other vegetables that I could. It was a
That's
little
awesome.
vegetarian stew. And
That's awesome.
I just after about 5.5 months, I kind of felt, okay, I'm healed. And it was funny because I had gone to a hot spring and I put mud, there was hot mud too, and I put it all over my body. That was like a
Yeah.
couple of days before I left. And I got so sick that night. It brought out a rash all over my body
Mhm.
and a fever. So my friend Mark put garlic all over my feet, and I went to sleep. And the next morning I woke up and I felt like I'm healed.
Wow. Wow. Now I have a question for you. You didn't do any of the, because I don't think they do this in Peru. I don't know where they do this, but you didn't do any of the ashna,
Ayahuasca.
ayahuasca. Did you do that?
No, no,
No.
not in those days. I mean, if you were hiking in the mountains, you were chewing on coca leaves
Right.
because that's, for enabling your body to deal with the altitude. But
Right.
that's just a leaf. That's not
Mhm.
cocaine. No, I've been a
Okay.
lightweight. I grew up in the '60s, very lightweight
Mhm.
person. Um,
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. I love myself very much. And since all this, all right, so I get back to Miami.
Yes.
I go back to that second gynecologist, gives me a test. Number one, normal. And I knew at that point that even before I got the test, I felt I was done.
Mhm.
Okay. And I saved all of those pap tests in a metal box that my father gave me before I went to college.
Wow.
And so later on, I took all those pap tests and, like the year before, the year that I was diagnosed, and the year after
Mhm.
when it healed. And so I always felt I had a story to tell. So this is my year of years. Okay. This was COVID. Sit
Yeah.
on your ass, man. Write that book. Come
Mhm.
on. No more excuses. You have something to say. You have something to tell. I'm sitting on a ball right now. That's why you're seeing me kind of, film
I
it.
know I keep moving to. I'm like, but it's not a ball. But
Yeah.
what's very interesting is that there's a reason that you were brought to me through Lynn, and there's a
Oh,
reason you're telling everybody this
absolutely.
story.
Absolutely. And so I've been putting out the story little by little,
Yeah.
writing the book, finishing the book. It's in the final edit, and I'm going to record it as an audio book, and then I'm going to throw in my music in between the chapters.
Yeah.
It's called Revolutionary Healer. So when you guys, anyone listening wants to go to my website through LinkedIn, I'm connected through LinkedIn.
Right.
You can see the work I've done so far. I've got a cover for the audiobook,
Mhm.
and the music is starting to come along. I only have maybe 3 songs that are on my music section of my website, but you'd get a feel for what I'm going to be putting on the
Yeah.
in the book, in the audio book. How cool is that?
It's very cool.
Yeah.
We were actually going to have her sing a song today. Oh, look at Danielle. I love Danielle. By the way, he's putting out something about World War II, and he
Wow.
just sent me some sort of audio, right, Daniel, or it was a video, but
Right.
he's doing a lot of I don't know what it's exactly called, a lot of higher end video and sound with this. It's pretty cool. So you might want to
Wow.
connect with Daniel too. And he
I would
has
love that. Daniel, I actually was born at the end of World War II. And interestingly enough, in the hospital, my mother
oh,
was right next door to Eleanor Roosevelt's niece, who was having a baby at the same time.
wow,
So in those days, women stayed in the hospital for 10 days.
nice.
And Eleanor Roosevelt just happened to pop into my mother's room saying hello to her and how she's doing, and me, the baby. Hi, how's the baby? And she did that for, I think, almost 10 days. And my mother told me this, and I have fallen in love with Eleanor Roosevelt and read many of her books. And by the grace of God, even got to sleep in her historic home in Manhattan on East
Wow.
74th Street about 10 years ago. Who
No,
knew that opportunity would come?
wow. Yeah, that's a blessing right there.
Yeah,
By the
really.
way, I have to say that Daniel just told me because he knows I'm a little line braining right now. He's doing special effects for what he's putting together. Yeah, he just want to let you know
Wow.
that.
Wow.
But I
Wow.
think this is really amazing what you're doing and who you've run into in your life. I think all of us run into people for a reason,
Right.
and we're all doing and we're sharing our stories for a reason to help
I love
other
it.
people.
I love it.
And I do want. He wants you to connect with him because
Oh, perfect.
he does have three special needs. So 3 or 4, Daniel, children,
Wonderful.
and maybe you guys can talk about that or
Yeah. Yeah.
other
Well,
things. But I think that
people are attracted to my music, not
right,
because I have a great voice, not because, I play the greatest guitar. They're attracted to the healer in me.
right,
So for the last,
yeah.
I'll say about
Oh,
35 years, I've
I
been a
was wrong.
body worker.
By the way, I
And
was wrong. He has 6. He has 6
okay.
special
Oh
needs
my
kids.
God.
I thought it was 3 or 4. Yeah,
God,
you guys need to
God
connect.
bless. God
Daniel,
bless.
she's like a diamond in the rough. I'll just say that. Anyway, sorry that I cut you off.
That's okay.
Please,
That's
please
okay.
continue.
So, so I've been making a living helping people, especially who do not want to go the traditional medical route when they get their diagnosis.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I'm not a doctor, but I am an intuitive.
We
And
forgot to announce that at the
yeah,
beginning.
that's
Neither
okay.
one of us are doctors or nurses. I usually say that
Right.
about the person I'm
Yeah, of course.
interviewing and myself.
Right.
I'm doing this
I
out of
have a disclaimer on my website. Anybody who wants to take a look can see
right.
I'm offering consultations mostly over the phone. I do live in North Carolina right now. I'm living up in the mountains, and I do have a nice place where I sometimes will have people come and put them through a detoxification program
Mm.
right in my own condo. And, just
Exactly.
right now, it's summertime. It's absolutely beautiful. And where you're seeing me right now in this space, this is my recording studio. Um, and I'm, I have all my recording equipment, like a good mic and my different speakers and stuff like that for my
Yeah.
guitar, and I'm going to record my book in here. I'm starting to practice. I'm starting to read about narration, and as you can see and hear, I have a passion, and it comes through when I tell
Mhm.
you that I've got chutzpah.
And she does. So I have a question for you. So I know you've done a lot of different modalities. I believe you're a massage therapist now, correct? And out of everything that you've done, if somebody is going through cervical cancer or any type of cancer right now, especially cervical cancer, what would you recommend? Like 2 or 3 things, like mindset,
Well,
meditation, anything like that.
firstly, make peace with yourself.
Yeah.
Number one, you got to make peace with yourself. You got to bring that God into in touch with you, and you in touch with that
Right.
energy called God. that
Mhm.
love that's inside of us, that place
Right.
inside of us. That's number one. And I ask you, don't tell people that you cannot totally trust. You
Yeah.
only need one or two people to tell.
Mhm.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
if you end up and it's an emergency, that's another story. But
Mhm.
if you
Yeah.
just go and you see that, there's a problem, you don't have to run out and tell everybody,
Yeah.
because the healing happens inside of you when you're
Right.
calm, when you're feeling that love and that trust.
Mhm.
And then call me and I give a free consult and
Yeah.
we can make a plan. And if you want to work with me, I'm very reasonable, either over the phone or
Mhm.
possibly here in North Carolina, in the mountains of North Carolina, where the energy is pristine. Yeah,
Yes.
it's really beautiful here. So those are the main things. And of course, you're going to need guidance, and your mind is going to need to be calmed down.
Mhm.
That's really my way of helping people more than anything, is helping them to calm down
Yeah.
so they can think and feel and make good decisions,
Right.
not out of fear.
Yes.
And if you
Fear. Yeah.
notice, yeah, if you
Fear is
notice,
huge.
the medical profession
I
is
love the fear.
only based on fear.
I love the fear. Love the
And
fear.
it's to scare you. It's to
Yeah.
scare you into doing horrible things to yourself.
Right. Right. It's true.
They
And
don't allow. They don't allow. I mean, give yourself 2 months to do
right.
some wonderful things for yourself. Get your head cleared out.
Mhm.
Eat the best organic food you can find. Chew your food really well. Only tell one or two people. I never told my family. I never told my mother and father. And I had forgotten that I had never told my mother. And one day when
Yeah.
when we were talking, I said, "Oh yeah, when I had cancer." She said, "What cancer?"
Mhm.
I had forgotten completely
Oh my
that I
God.
had never told her.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Yeah.
No, because you see, it's this huge word that
It
is
is.
out of
It is.
control to scare you,
Mhm.
as well
Yeah.
as what's going on now.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. By the
Fear.
way, I think I think when Daniel first made a comment, Daniel, I think some people think because the first coming out story that I had with someone that's a big podcaster on LinkedIn was telling people they had leukemia and they didn't know. People didn't know. And people thought that I had, when I put my cam up, they thought I had leukemia and Lyme. They're like, oh my God. I'm like, no, I'm just interviewing people because of Cancer Survivor Month regarding leukemia. I'm like, I don't need both of those. But yeah, so I think he said, oh, we have two survivors. I guess I'm a survivor of Lyme, right now. And I'm hoping that that's what you were thinking, Daniel. So that I'm a survivor of Lyme, not of leukemia. That was my dad. He wasn't a survivor of that, but yeah, my dad was leukemia and lymphoma. So anyway, I just gonna get that in there really quick.
Okay, good.
But
Can
I
I just
don't
mention
have.
one thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there's a book called Radical Remission. It's on the New York Times bestseller list.
Okay.
The woman is Dr. Kelly Turner. And she would have written about me if I had had a biopsy, but she was a little concerned that in this
Wow.
modern day, that wouldn't have been, kosher. So what she did was, she was so sweet. She wrote about me in her second book called Radical Hope. And this is a wonderful book for anyone who's getting diagnosed with cancer. Both of those books, but the second book, because I'm in
Is
it,
the
if you're
first
going
one
to
called
buy
Radical
Radical
Hope? Is the
Hope,
first one? But the first one was
Radical
called what again?
Remission, Radical Remission, Dr.
Okay.
Kelly Turner,
Okay. Thank you.
and Radical Hope. Look it up. Read a little bit of it. She was, able for her PhD. Radical Remission was her PhD project. She's a
Right.
Harvard graduate and University of California, Berkeley. master's and PhD.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so Danielle said that we're both pushing the boundaries of life, which is surviving the best and why you can help and best ways that we can help. So, and we are, because I mean, I went down the Western route, and then some of my Western doctors actually started doing some of the homeopathic. And now I'm doing more homeopathic, especially because of the C word, the C19. I don't say the C word because people think cancer, but the C19 word. So, yeah, I think it's very important right now, if people can go down more of the natural path, that maybe that would be best. It just depends on what's going on with you. So thank you, Carl, for writing that, putting that in there too. So, yeah. So Carl Sullivan is wonderful. I was showing Jill your stickers before we went live. Carl?
Yeah, I'm going to get in touch with you, Carl, because I'm definitely getting ready soon, because of Revolutionary Healer, to do a podcast. I'm looking forward to it, and I will need an intro, and I have the music already, so
he's loving that.
It won't be difficult.
He loves to help people. He's a total believer in people and helper of people too. So
that's why we're here. We're here to help others, and
we are.
Even my free consultation can change a person's life.
It's true. It changed mine.
20 minute, and I never stay on 20 minute. I always leave at least a half hour.
That's true too. That's true too. Yeah. So we can continue because we're past the half hour point. Because I know you're like, is it 15 minutes or 60 minutes? I was like, it's going to be a half hour.
I have someone that I have to prepare for, who I'm going to be speaking with at 4 California time, of course.
Oh,
I mean, for Eastern.
Your time, Eastern time.
Here, but she's, at 1 p.m.
Yes,
I could stay another couple of minutes just for fun. I mean, what do you want to do?
Well, it's up to you, because I think people are really digging this, honestly, and people are going to listen to it. My reruns actually run quite often. I mean, it's kind of like people watch a lot of the reruns. If you guys are if you're watching the rerun, just put a hashtag rerun, just so I'll know that you were here, and Jill will know too. Good. So, Jill, is there any more? Yeah, I'm so happy you came on.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you. Thank you.
We will also help to deal with some of the issues you have. Most of our issues really are coming from 3 different things on a physical level. Okay. Mm-hmm. Dehydration, malnutrition, and I have a DEM, D-E-M. Dehydration, exhaustion, and malnutrition. Those are the 3 physical things that cause disease. And if you don't address that, you can never get yourself well. Right. And we really, right now, we're going through a crazy time. Mm-hmm. And so,
breathe. Breathe in, everyone.
Yeah, no, I mean, in my lifetime, I've never experienced anything like what's going on now. And we can all have our theories about it, and I'm not going to get into that, but the best thing you can do is to take care of yourself and be conscious, really conscious, what you eat, what you think, get your sleep.
And what you're watching.
Yeah.
What you're watching and what you're reading.
I don't have a TV. Yeah. I don't want to listen to anything that could possibly be on a TV. I have a computer, and if I really need to get information, I can get it through the computer.
Right. It's true. Yeah. Because I think what a lot of people are running into is anxiety and depression, tend to be coming from what we're reading, what we're seeing on the TV, what people are talking about out in public. And it's just, we all want to be out in public again if it's safe for your illness or whatever, if you guys are sick that are listening. But I think people need to be careful because they're just listening to all this minutia out there. right now, and you just need to
Well,
decide for yourself.
we're being brainwashed. That's the bottom line. We're being brainwashed. The medical
Don't
profession
get me
doing it
kicked
for
off.
years.
I haven't even gone live on Facebook, on LinkedIn Live yet. Don't get me kicked off. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
By the
I
way,
won't.
people don't even know. They just got
Well,
LinkedIn
I
Live.
mean, we're living in a time where if we
Yeah.
don't grab on to
Mhm.
our own deepest, honest values, okay,
Thank
they
you.
can be taken away from us.
Yes.
So I don't think you're going to get taken on.
I'm just kidding. It's not LinkedIn Live yet, although I am LinkedIn Live, but I didn't put it that way because I just was accepted today.
Great.
So I'm announcing my big
Congratulations.
LinkedIn Live thing. Yay, thank you. So that you guys, a few people that are on here right now that I've told, you guys know. And I'm very excited about this. And yeah, there's still a little bit of hesitation on a lot of things that we're talking about because people's lives, even if they're not on LinkedIn Live, are getting pulled. So it's kind of like, what can we really say right now? I'm going to say what I'm doing, like what I'm things that I'm doing right now to make myself better.
We can talk about it off the air.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. And we can set an intention. That intention of being ourselves no matter what.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And find your tribe.
Exactly.
Find the people that you resonate with.
Yeah.
And anyone who thinks you ask too many questions, you go the other way.
Exactly. Or if they ask me questions, yeah. If they're just kind of, I thought I had my tribe and I don't think I had that tribe. And it's really sad because I know what's going on with me. Other people don't know. I don't need other people's inputs all the time. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I said
find your tribe. You need to find the right people to be hanging with.
Right. And you don't. And the thing is, what happens with getting very sick, getting a diagnosis, the worst thing you can do is to tell people that are going to go crazy and want you to do exactly what they say to do.
Or what they think's wrong with you.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what your diagnosis was.
Yourself,
yeah.
And you have to do what you have to do. And if you don't tell them, you won't go through that.
Exactly.
Okay? You have a better chance of surviving
if you keep
mouth shut.
Exactly. So I think that's very important. And the other thing, I was trying to think of being a victim. A lot of people, when we're talking about what you're speaking about before, now I forgot what the other word was. But I think people go through the victim mentality too, because when they're going down that diagnosis that they're going to die in 2 or 3 months, your brain is like, oh my God, I'm going to die in 2 or 3 months. Guess what? They told my dad he didn't have that long. My dad wrote complete history, family history, going back to like the 14 or 1500s. Guess what? He didn't die in 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
He was kind of excuse my language, kind of an a-hole when he's trying to get all the information from us in the last couple of years. But it's because he thought he was going to die. He didn't die for like 6 years.
Well, the other thing about doctors that is absolutely horrible, they play God.
Yeah, they do.
That is, I can't handle that. I can't handle that.
No.
They have no right. They have no right. They can say, this is your diagnosis. But then the next thing, you only have this long to live. Yeah, if you go their way, that's probably the truth.
Right. Right. And so it's really hard to watch people go through that. Not just my dad, but my sister's breast cancer survivor. I think it's been 8 years. She's an 8-year survivor. And but she went the way of Western medicine. She's done really well. So some people do really well on Western medicine, and that's fine. We're not telling you not to do that. We're just explaining what we've done. I've done both. And sometimes you have to do Western. I mean, if your arms full of gangrene,
take me to the hospital.
What'd you say? If you what?
In an emergency, take me to the hospital.
Seriously, like if you need to get like a triple bypass because your arteries are full of crap, like, then get it. Like, don't just say, I don't want that. You're probably going to die. Like, there's things where you have to get these things done, because if you change your diet, it's not going to change your whole body within X amount of time. You know, that's just what happens, unfortunately. And so there are things that you can fix. There are things that you can't fix. If you break your arm and it's really bad, or your shoulder, like my mom, it's not going to heal on its own. Like, hey, you're 86, you break your shoulder, it's not going to heal overnight. That's not going to happen. So there are things that you have to.
You know, we just have to use our common sense. If
Right,
we're in
exactly.
tremendous pain, okay, if I'm in
Right.
tremendous pain, if something happens, or I
Right.
just all of a sudden feel really bad, I'm going directly to the emergency room.
Right. Right.
But we shine. Western medicine shines with emergency medicine. God
Yes,
bless those
they do.
emergency doctors. My
They do.
God. But when it comes to chronic,
Right.
we're in
Thank you.
big
Thanks for saying that, because that's
trouble.
true. Yeah. You guys, think of this. My friend thought she was having really bad indigestion the other night, and she said, my appendix decided it didn't want to be in my body anymore. So actually it erupted in her, and she thought she was having really bad indigestion. And she goes, thank God I went to the hospital. And she had to get it taken out immediately, because that's very dangerous if your appendix erupts, right? I mean, that's really
She could have died if she didn't go to the hospital.
Absolutely.
And that's where they shine.
Yeah.
Let them
That's what I was
shine.
trying to say. Yeah.
And then the specialties, the orthopedic specialties, the eyes, the ears, okay?
Right.
Things like that. They shine. They're doing
And
great.
They do.
I just got these new glasses. I had to get new glasses because my far vision improved 75% from eating the food that comes directly from the mountains where I'm living.
There you go.
The soil is everything. If people want to go to my website and sign up, I do a newsletter, usually once a month, maybe twice.
Mm-hmm.
And the last article that I sent out was, I wanted to get your attention, and I said, talking shit. And honestly, you can diagnose yourself health-wise by just knowing about your poop.
Exactly. So Carl just said, that, yes, you can have any condition, but don't become the condition.
Thank you.
Don't let it fill your mind, which is true. I mean, don't own it. And that's the thing with, are you becoming it? Are you a victim? Are you a victim? That victim mentality, and people become the victims. And that's the most dangerous thing. I had somebody, a doctor, homeopathic type doctor, a Reiki doctor, you want to call him a doctor, or a Reiki practitioner, say, you're becoming a victim of your Lyme disease. And that was 30 years ago. It's true. It was. I was. And I become that again when I'm told that things are getting worse or it's morphing into something else. I become the victim again. And it's easy to fall into that, and don't fall into that. And Carl just said that, wow, 75% improvement. That's amazing. He's referring to your eyes.
The ophthalmologist, her whole office was in shock.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I found out that so these are my, these are the same glasses frame wise, but I had to get, because I was not able to see, in that, the range up here when I'm driving.
Right.
And then just the lower part for computers and reading just needed a slight adjustment higher, higher. It was also improved, but it just had to be, each eye is a little bit different, so they had to adjust it.
That happened to
I'm 75 years old.
What?
I'm hiking. Yeah,
you say you're 75? You're not.
I'm going to be 7. I told you I was born when World War II ended.
I'm still in like denial about that. I'm like, no, she wasn't.
Yeah. So
I know.
So I'm taking, it's taken me a while to get my book and my ideas out there, and mainly because I've been waiting for everyone to catch up. And the COVID has kind of assisted us in that catching up process.
It has.
Prioritize what we want for ourselves in this life.
Because you only have one life. You only have one life. If you don't have your health,
if you have more lives, that's cool.
Well,
but
there could be more lives, but and reincarnation, things like that. But this life, live this life to the fullest. And if you're going to come back, if you believe in that, don't have that cocoon and everything. We can talk about that later. Come back with you, separate from that now. Do what you need to do in this life and heal yourself, because you don't want to come back with what you have now. So this is my opinion.
We need to definitely process anything in this life that doesn't feel right.
Right. Yeah. And I'm going through that right now.
Come back and do it again.
Right. Exactly. And get your LinkedIn Live now, because when you come back, you may not get it. I'm just kidding. Right?
Right.
Right. Exactly. Everybody, tell your story. Go to Tim Solom's class. Take his class if you don't know how to go live, because that could help you going live and telling your story. Your story is very important. Nobody can tell you what your story is except for you. You're the only one that can share that.
That's why it's a great time for me to be, putting out a story that, even though it happened so many years ago, I am more credible now.
I know. Me too. Me too.
A little more authority on all these years that I've lived. Honestly, I don't even go for checkups. I'll be honest. I don't. I know my body well enough to pretty much fix, unless it's an emergency.
Yeah.
But I'm involved with herbal medicine. When people come to me, not just body work, but I make incredible juices and broths and teas and salads and salad dressings and muffins, everything I make from scratch. And I never was quite like that before.
I might have to have you come back on when I come back on, because we could talk about that. Because we didn't talk about the dietary and things like that in our juicing.
Right. Well,
if
I
you
talked
go
about the brown rice, but after the brown rice, it's been. I'm basically a vegetarian for 50 years. Even when I got the cancer, I was a vegetarian back then, but I was a lousy vegetarian. I was eating a lot of white flour, white sugar, and stuff like that. So the macrobiotics gave me very much of a balance, so that I could allow my body's own healing to happen naturally.
Right. It's hard not to cheat. I'm going to tell you right now, it's hard not to cheat. You're like, all right, I'm going to do gluten-free, but I'm going to get the gluten-free pizza with the cheese on there. Well, all right, you just put cow back into you, or dairy back into you. When you cut out all the dairy, you're like, I don't drink milk, I don't eat cheese, but I do eat cheese on gluten-free pizza. Like,
so you can actually buy that vegan cheese and put it on your gluten.
I know. And we've done that, but it's kind of like, you think, okay, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I mean, there are pizzas that have the vegan cheese on there. You're like, well, I think I'm going to get this pizza. I really want it, but it's dairy cheese. And you're like, so you kind of blow yourself out when you do that. And Lynn would not be happy that I just said that. I'd be like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, I know. But
talking about Lynn Delgado.
She's
an
Delgado.
Incredible health coach.
She is.
And she's definitely one of my besties. And now I have another bestie.
I know Lynn's become my bestie too. She's on my show 3 times or 4 times. And last time she was on, you guys, we talked about the histamine diet, which a lot of you asked questions about that. And also, she had a TBI. Yes. And she cured herself from that. Yes. So, but we love that. Oh, I didn't even ask you if you want. Oh, this is what really everybody knows about Lynn. Hey, Lynn, I know you had a TBI, and I know that you had really serious surgery, for your spine. But what did you want when you woke up? Bacon.
Oh
Do you
my
like
gosh.
bacon? I always have a piece of bacon. Everybody knows that's my thing. So bacon. So she said she wanted bacon and she wanted a big steak, a big bloody steak.
You need to go to a farm and play with a pig.
I know. then you will not want to eat bacon again because you'll be like, oh, that's Wilbur. Wasn't it Wilbur?
I played
Or
with a baby pig last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who called and said, we've got a batch of baby goats that need to be fed, and we've got baby pigs as well. And they were just so cute. And I was just letting them, play with me too. It was so much fun.
Exactly.
It's so much fun, really.
Exactly. It's kind of cute, actually. But anyway, that's a big thing about Lynn that everybody knows about. She woke up and she's like, I want bacon. They're like, and steak. And they're like, aren't you vegan? She goes, that's just what I want right now. She thinks it's because she lost so much blood, but yeah, exactly. So that's another story. But anyway, I'm so glad that you were on today. Do you want to give everybody your information on how they can get in touch with you again? Although it's down here.
Get in touch with me. And do I type it in?
You can do that. It's also below here. Like when you go off the live, all your information is down there too. I know I have your website.
Chat? Do I do it on the chat or comments?
You can do the comments, or it's also below after we're done being live.
After we're done. Okay.
I've got your LinkedIn. I've got your website, but you can also you can just put it on here too. It's great.
Yeah. All right. So I'll do that. When we hang up, it will allow me to
can you post anything right now?
Can
you see the comments right now?
I am seeing the comments right now.
So there says post comments, so you can put it in there, or we can just put it in. We can put it in below afterwards. That'd be great.
So I'm not logged in.
Okay, and that's okay. Yeah, you can put your comments in below the live afterwards.
Okay.
On Facebook or Instagram, or Facebook. I'm sorry, Facebook or YouTube.
Well, it'll be enough if people have my website address.
Yeah.
And what else did you say you had?
LinkedIn. They have your LinkedIn. Yeah.
That's how you can get in touch with me.
Okay.
That's pretty much enough. But I thank you all very much.
Thank you so much for being on.
And I, would definitely be getting in touch with Carl and Daniel. They were the main commenters. And anyone
Mark's just like, don't make me eat rice with chopsticks. Tonight I'm going to be like, I have really large chopsticks. They're like, I don't know, they're like 12 inches long if you need really long ones.
Right. All right. Take care.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Be well. Thank you. God bless you.
You too. Love you, hon.
Love
Thank
you.
Too. New
Thank
bestie.
You.
Bye. Bye.